can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Noel. Delighted as always to be joined by Owen, and we're here in final prediction mode for this weekend's return of the very divisive Ben Whittaker. Of course, he makes his matchroom debut in Birmingham against Benjamin Gavazi. A lot of hype around, Whittaker as a whole. He's very Marmite. Owen, you either love him or you hate him, to be honest with you. Very interesting character. Facing Benjamin Gavazi here. We were underwhelmed by the choice of opponent. I think it's safe to say when this got announced for his matchroom debut. But yeah, let's get straight into it. What is your final prediction for Ben Whittaker against Benjamin Gavazi this Saturday?
I think I will be back in. I'll go points for Whittaker. Gavazi, I think it's 19 wins, one loss. I'm pretty sure he lost on his debut. 13 knockouts. He can clearly punch. So I think Whittaker, yeah, he'll get it done on points. Very underwhelming fight. It's hard to say that. I've seen a lot of Gavazi because it's looked on YouTube to see what I can see and very minimal highlights, etc. So it's difficult to call. I think Whittaker will want the stoppage, but I think he'll also want to try and put on a show for his matchroom debut, and I think the latter could mean we'll see a bit more of his showboating come back in, and I think he'll get the job done on points.
Yeah, I think, you'd be very silly to bet against Ben Whittaker in this one, to be honest with you. I think Benjamin Gavazi has been brought in, not to do him too much of a disservice, but he's decent. At the very best you can say about him, he's decent. But I think he's tailor made for Whittaker. He's very basic from what I've seen of him. And I think Whittaker gets it done convincingly. For the sake of being different, I'll just say stoppage. I'll say late stoppage. But points wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I'll say breaks him down and gets him out of there and say 9 rounds. And that's what I'll go for. Round nine, Ben Whittaker stoppage in this one, but it's going to be a comfortable night. It'll be a big upset if Benjamin Gavazi gets it done. But yeah, before we kind of wrap up, we're both going for Whittaker here. Obviously, big night for him in his matchroom debut. As I say, people expect a lot from Ben Whittaker. Whether you want to see him win or you want to see him get smashed, it's either or. But if I had to kind of pose a question to you, there is interesting options for him. Now, I know we're talking about maybe a perfect world, but I'm curious to see who you'd pick if Ben Whittaker next faces the winner of Ezra Taylor and Willie Hutchinson. I think that's a fascinating domestic fight. Who would you pick if the winner fights Ben Whittaker?
Um, it's, I find it tough. I want to see how Whittaker does against Gavazi. How he deals with him. Um, I think Ezra Taylor's going to beat Willie Hutchinson. I think he might even stop him and get him out of there. Um, uh, I'd probably back Whittaker on points. I'm not Ben Whittaker's biggest fan. I think he's clearly very, very talented, but there's a lot that's left to desire for me. Um, I was the same with Josh Kelly, and then obviously he met his maker in David Avanesian, and he's definitely going to meet his maker again in his next fight. And I think it could be the same for Whittaker, but he could also go on to be the superstar that was expected when he turned professional. So I'd back Whittaker on points, but I'd like to see him in with, I think we had that light heavyweight card not too long ago, but I'd like to see him in with maybe someone like a Brad Ray, someone who is limited, but is still a skillful and useful fighter. Someone that, when the going gets tough, we've seen him against Jack Peters and now against Lyndon Arthur. He can dig deep, bite down on his gum shield, grit it out. So if it's not going Whittaker's way, then who knows what happens. So that style of fight is what I want to see next because Ezra Taylor's a puncher. We know that Whittaker's a much better boxer naturally than Ezra Taylor, and he's a much better boxer naturally than Willie Hutchinson. I just think when you look at Hutchinson or someone like Brad Ray, I think Brad Ray offers a different style. I think we would definitely see Whittaker face some adversity and then go forward from there. But yeah, I'd back him. I'd back him against Hutchinson or Ezra Taylor. Um, but I would like to see him against a Brad Ray or even a Lyndon Arthur. Throw him in with Lyndon Arthur, and now we'll definitely see where he's at.
Yeah, fascinating shouts as well. It's interesting that you're picking Ezra Taylor there, but that's for another video, another great fight. But yeah, supremely talented Ben Whittaker. No matter what you say about him, but the jury is still out. When he's properly tested, we seen it in the first Liam Cameron fight. And we all know how that one ended, so it'll be very interesting to see how he deals with adversity again. But yeah, just quickly before we wrap up there, you did mention it. Would you pick who would you go for on that one, Ray or Ben Whittaker?
At this stage, I actually think I'd edge towards Brad Ray. If it was a Lyndon Arthur, I'd definitely edge towards Lyndon Arthur. Um, but that's the side of me where I want to see more from Whittaker. We've seen him showboating against nobodies, against the Elvis. I can't remember how you say his surname, that calls himself the soldier. He's not going to throw a punch back. And even when he does throw a punch back, it's going to be nowhere near. Whereas someone like Lyndon Arthur mixed it up at a good level, win over Anthony Yard. Now win over Brad Ray. Brad Ray's been in there with obviously with Tyler Denny, Lyndon Arthur. For me, I would back Brad Ray or Lyndon Arthur just on the basis of it. But I think that could be the fight where I'll have to change my tune on Ben Whittaker.
Yeah, it'll certainly be a fascinating option and a very interesting domestic light heavyweight scene. So, who knows what the future holds. But first of all, Ben Whittaker has to get past Benjamin Gavazi this Saturday night in Birmingham. Of course, big matchroom debut, headlining, quite near to, the area of the country that he's from. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see the show that he puts on. If he does put on a show, he will. He'll try to anyway. But yeah, that was myself and Owen with our final predictions. We're both going for Ben Whittaker on points or and stoppage. So yeah, let us know what you think. Are you going for a Gavazi upset? I doubt it, but yeah, let us know what you think of the ceiling for Ben Whittaker. Yeah. How far can he go? Can he beat the names we mentioned? Get involved down below in the comments, and as always, don't forget, drop a like on the video. We'd really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not doing so already at ESBR Boxing, and follow us on all social media. Always great content on a regular basis. Owen, it was a pleasure as always. Take care.
Cheers, mate.